All right, so everyone's been talking about this Stargate thing, AI this, $500 billion that. We're going to take a deep dive on that today, see if we can make sense of this whole Stargate thing, what it is, who's behind it, why it matters. And yeah, we've got a whole bunch of articles and reports and different takes on this thing. So let's get into it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so first things first, what is this Stargate thing?
Stargate is basically like a joint venture between some pretty big players, and it's about building AI infrastructure in the U.S.
Okay, so not like the AI itself, but
yeah,
the stuff that makes the AI work.
Yeah, exactly, like the actual physical backbone. So like massive data centers, the computing power to run all these crazy AI models that are getting more and more complex.
Gotcha. So like the picks and shovels of the AI gold rush.
Yeah, you could put it that way.
And it sounds like they're putting a lot of money where their mouth is. I mean, we're seeing headlines about what? $100 billion?
Yeah, an initial investment of $100 billion with the potential to reach like $500 billion over the next 4 years.
Wow, $500 billion. That's a lot of money. So clearly someone thinks there's going to be a huge return on that investment.
Yeah, I mean, it really highlights how high the stakes are in this whole AI race. Like the US is clearly trying to solidify its position as like the leader in this space.
Yeah, totally. And the players involved are pretty interesting too. Yeah. We've got OpenAI, obviously they're the ChatGPT people. Then there's SoftBank, which is this huge Japanese investment firm. And Oracle, which is, the database software giant. What do you think each of those players brings to the table?
Yeah, it's an interesting mix, right? I mean, OpenAI obviously brings that cutting-edge AI expertise. They've got those groundbreaking models like ChatGPT. And then you've got SoftBank. They've got this history of like spotting, disruptive technologies early on and then making these like massive investments. And Oracle, I mean, they've got the experience in building and managing the cloud infrastructure, which is basically essential for any kind of large-scale AI development these days.
Yeah, it's like they've each got a piece of the puzzle.
Right? It's like they've assembled like a dream team for AI domination.
And speaking of domination, Oracle stock has been kind of on a tear since this news broke, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think their stock jumped like 7% in a single day.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of analysts see this as a sign that Oracle is like strategically positioning itself to be like the main provider of this infrastructure backbone for AI.
So they're not just riding the AI wave, they're like building the surfboard.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about what Stargate is and who's involved, but where's all this happening? Like, is this a global thing or is it focused on a specific region?
Well, the first project under this Stargate umbrella is this massive data center they're building in Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it seems like Texas might become like a central hub for AI development in the U.S.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, Texas is already a big player in the tech scene.
Right. Right. Okay, so let's zoom out a bit and talk about why this is such a big deal. Like, why should we care about Stargate?
I mean, I think this is a clear signal that the U.S. is taking this AI race very seriously. It's not just about, technological advancement anymore. It's about economic influence. It's about national security. AI is becoming more and more intertwined with every aspect of our lives.
Yes, the future. And I remember Trump, when he announced this initiative, he made some pretty bold claims about its potential impact. Something about creating like over 100,000 American jobs.
Yeah, that's right. He said it would create over 100,000 jobs practically overnight.
So yeah, it's a big deal economically.
Yeah, it definitely highlights the potential economic ripple effect of, AI development. And it's interesting because even though, Trump's focus was often on those more traditional industries, this move suggests that there's like a growing recognition of the importance of government support for AI investment.
Yeah, so it seems like everyone, from tech giants to former presidents, is betting big on AI.
Yeah.
With any initiative this massive, there are bound to be some hiccups along the way, right? Some potential conflicts or concerns.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, for starters, the name Stargate itself could actually cause some confusion.
Wait, why?
Well, there's already another Stargate out there.
What do you mean?
In the world of cryptocurrency, there's this thing called a DeFi protocol. And one of them is already using the name Stargate.
Okay, hold on. DeFi protocol. I need a quick explainer here. What is that?
So DeFi stands for decentralized finance. And basically, it's a way of using blockchain technology to create financial systems that are open and accessible to anyone without needing those traditional intermediaries like banks. And a DeFi protocol is like a set of rules and code that governs how those systems operate.
Okay, gotcha. So we've got a potential name clash here.
Yeah, exactly. And that could actually cause some problems for the AI Stargate because it could dilute their brand recognition and make it harder for them to establish their own identity. People might be searching for information about the AI Stargate and end up on a website about the DeFi protocol, or vice versa.
Yeah, you don't want people accidentally investing in the wrong Stargate. All right, so that's one concern. What else? I'm also thinking about the sheer scale of this project. Building these massive data centers can't be easy, especially in a place like Texas.
Yeah, and actually, the Lieutenant Governor of Texas, Dan Patrick, has already voiced concerns about the state's power grid potentially being strained by all these AI data centers because they require a huge amount of energy to operate, like 24/7.
Oh yeah, I've seen those reports about Texas's power grid struggling.
Yeah.
Especially during those extreme weather events they've been having. Do you think that's been factored into this whole Stargate plan? Or is this going to be like a digital gold rush that overloads the system?
That's a good question. Some people argue that. Massive infrastructure upgrades were already inevitable for AI development, regardless of Stargate, because the demand for computing power is only going to increase.
The Stargate might just be accelerating what was already going to happen.
Yeah, potentially. But there's also another layer of skepticism some experts are kind of raising their eyebrows at. That initial $100 billion investment figure.
Really?
Yeah, considering OpenAI's current valuation. And the potential strain on the U.S. budget, that number seems, a little optimistic to some.
Okay, so there's uncertainty around the actual funding, and then, of course, there's the whole Trump factor.
Yeah.
How does that play into all of this?
Yeah, it's a fascinating twist because the Stargate announcement came right after Trump's inauguration, and along with this wave of executive orders, including one that basically reversed some Biden-era safety guidelines for generative AI.
Generative AI. Remind me what that is again.
Generative AI refers to AI systems that can create new content, like text, images, music, even code. Think about ChatGPT writing a poem or an AI generating a piece of art. The Biden administration had put in place these safety guidelines to regulate, the development and deployment of these tools.
Right. Okay, so this executive order from Trump, that rolls back those safety guidelines. That could have a big impact on how AI is developed moving forward.
Absolutely. It raises a lot of questions about, the relationship between the tech industry and the government under this new administration. Could this signal a more hands-off approach to AI regulation?
Okay, so we've got a potential power shift happening in the AI landscape. We've got a massive investment with some kind of fuzzy details. And we've got a former president making a big splash in the tech world. Where do we even begin to make sense of all this?
Well, I think it all circles back to that initial question. Why does Stargate matter? Why should anyone care about this?
Right. It's easy to get lost in the details.
Yeah.
But we need to zoom out and see the bigger picture. So let's do that. What are the key takeaways from all of this?
All right, well, first and foremost, Stargate is a huge commitment to AI development in the U.S. It's a sign that America wants to be a leader in this field. The scale of the investment, even if the exact numbers are still unclear, shows that there's a real push for dominance in this area.
And then there are the players involved. OpenAI, SoftBank, Oracle, these are all major players. And their collaboration suggests that they're really pooling their expertise and their resources to try and speed up AI innovation.
Right, and we can't forget about the geographical element here either. Texas, with that first Stargate data center, is likely to become a major hub for AI development, maybe even the hub. And that could have huge implications for the state's economy and its role in the tech sector.
Yeah, for sure. And then there are those potential conflicts and concerns. The name overlap with the DeFi protocol, the strain on Texas's power grid, the skepticism about the investment figures. Those are all things that we need to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and of course there's the whole Trump factor, his executive order rolling back those AI safety guidelines. And his close ties to the tech industry, it really suggests that there could be a shift in AI regulation and oversight.
Yeah, it's like he's thrown a wild card into the mix.
Yeah.
This whole Stargate situation really makes me think about the bigger picture. The power dynamics in the AI world are shifting right before our eyes. And it makes me wonder, are we heading towards a future where just a handful of powerful entities control the development and direction of AI?
That's a huge question, and it raises a lot of other questions, like what does this mean for the future of AI ethics, accessibility, competition? Who gets to shape the future of AI, and who benefits from it? These are all questions that we need to be asking.
Absolutely. It's not just about the technology itself. It's about the who, the how, and the why behind its development. We need to be aware, we need to be informed, and we need to be engaged in this conversation. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of Stargate. Keep exploring, keep questioning, And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, it really feels like we're at this crossroads with AI, and it's not just about, those immediate impacts like jobs or stock prices or whatever. It's about like the long game, the future of AI and like its role in society.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate for a second. Some people listening might be thinking, why should I care about this Stargate thing? I'm not like a tech CEO or a politician. How would you answer that?
Well, I think that's a fair question, but honestly, AI is already impacting all of us, whether we realize it or not. I mean, think about it. The algorithms that are curating your social media feeds, the facial recognition software being used for security, those chatbots you encounter on websites like that, AI is everywhere these days.
Yeah, that's true. I haven't talked to an actual human on a customer service line in ages.
Exactly.
But how does Stargate change that trajectory?
Well, I think Stargate has the potential to accelerate the development and deployment of AI on a massive scale. I mean, with that increased computing power and resources, we're going to see even more sophisticated AI applications popping up in the coming years. And this could revolutionize everything from healthcare and transportation to education and entertainment.
So it's not just about making our current AI systems better. It's like opening up a whole new world of possibilities.
Yeah, exactly. But, with those possibilities come challenges and risks. I mean, you remember those concerns we talked about earlier? The name, overlap, the strain on Texas's power grid, the funding questions. Those are all things that could really derail this Stargate initiative, or at the very least, significantly impact its trajectory.
Right. Those are some pretty big what ifs. Let's maybe unpack those a little bit more. I mean, the name thing, that sounds kind of silly on the surface, but it could actually be a big deal, right?
Oh, absolutely. Branding matters, especially in the tech world. If people can't easily find information about this AI Stargate because they keep getting confused with the DeFi protocol, it could really hurt their momentum. Imagine trying to build a website or launch a marketing campaign when your name is already being used by something completely different. It's just asking for trouble.
Yeah, that's a headache you don't want. And then there's that issue with the Texas power grid. That seems like a pretty major hurdle.
Oh, it's definitely a concern. Remember, these AI data centers, they use a ton of energy. They need a constant supply of power to function. And any disruption could have serious consequences.
Yeah, I'm picturing those sci-fi movies where the AI goes rogue.
Yeah.
And shuts down the power grid.
Hopefully it doesn't come to that.
Yeah. Let's hope not.
But even without a sci-fi scenario, the strain on the power grid is a real issue. We've already seen those rolling blackouts in Texas during those heat waves and stuff. And if Stargate leads to a surge in energy consumption, it could make those problems even worse.
So what are the potential solutions here? Is Texas even equipped to handle this kind of demand?
Well, some people argue that Texas is already investing a lot in renewable energy sources like wind and solar power. And they think that those investments combined with, efforts to modernize the grid will be enough to meet the increased demand.
That sounds promising. But is it realistic? I mean, renewable energy is still a pretty small part of Texas's energy mix.
That's true. And there are also those concerns about the intermittency of renewables. Wind and solar power can be unpredictable, and these data centers need a reliable energy supply.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. It's like you need reliable energy to power the AI development, but you also need the AI development to help optimize and manage the energy grid.
Exactly. It's this complex challenge with no easy answers.
Okay, so we've got the name confusion. We've got the power grid concerns. What about the skepticism around the funding? Some experts have doubts about that initial $100 billion figure. Do you think those doubts are justified?
I think it's healthy to be skeptical, especially when we're talking about that much money. And it's important to remember that this $100 billion, it's not like a lump sum payment. It's an investment that's going to be rolled out over time.
Yeah.
And it's not totally clear where all that money is coming from. We know there are private investors involved, like SoftBank and Oracle, but there are also rumors of potential government funding.
Government funding. But didn't Trump just take office? Wouldn't that money have to go through the normal budget process, which could take forever?
Well, usually yes. But there are ways to speed things up, especially for initiatives that are considered, crucial for national security. And remember, Trump is known for, doing things his own way.
He's definitely not afraid to shake things up. But wouldn't that raise some eyebrows about transparency and accountability? If public funds are being used, shouldn't there be more oversight?
Oh, absolutely. Transparency and accountability are essential, especially when it comes to government investments in, emerging technologies like AI. We need to make sure that these investments are being made responsibly and ethically with the right safeguards in place.
Right. And speaking of ethics, that brings us to another big question. What are the potential ethical implications of Stargate?
Yeah, that's a crucial question. As AI becomes more powerful and more widespread, we really need to think about the ethical implications. Who benefits from AI? Who's impacted by it? How do we make sure that it's used for good and not for harm?
Those are big questions, and I'm not sure anyone has all the answers yet. But it seems like Stargate is bringing those questions to the forefront. Like it's forcing us to confront the complex realities of this AI revolution.
Exactly. Stargate is a catalyst for these conversations, and it's essential that we engage in them thoughtfully and critically. The future of AI is not predetermined. It's something that we're all shaping through our choices and actions.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. The benefits, the risks, the funding questions, the power grid dilemma, the ethical implications. It's a lot to process. What are your overall thoughts? Are you optimistic about Stargate? Or do you have reservations?
I think it's still too early to say for sure. It has the potential to be a game changer, but there are also a lot of challenges and risks that need to be addressed. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm also watching closely to see how this all unfolds.
Yeah, it's like watching a high-stakes poker game. You're not sure who's going to win, but you can't take your eyes off the action.
That's a great analogy. And in this game, the stakes are incredibly high. The outcome could shape the future of AI, the global economy, even the geopolitical landscape.
Okay, so where do we go from here? What should listeners be thinking about as we move forward in this AI-powered world?
I think the most important thing is to stay informed and engaged. Keep asking questions, challenge assumptions, and don't be afraid to think critically about the potential impact of AI on your life and the world around you.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the hype.
Yeah.
But we need to step back and think about the long-term consequences.
Absolutely. AI is not just a technological tool. It's a powerful force that's reshaping our society. And we need to be aware of its potential, both positive and negative. And we need to be active participants in shaping its future.
Okay, so staying informed and engaged is crucial. But how do we do that effectively? Are there specific resources or organizations that people should be paying attention to?
There are a lot of great resources out there. One organization I always recommend is the Partnership on AI. They bring together researchers, industry experts, and civil society organizations to address those ethical and societal implications of AI.
So it's not just about the tech itself,
Yeah,
but about the broader impact.
exactly. They tackle some of the toughest questions around AI, like bias in algorithms, job displacement, the impact on privacy, even the potential for AI to be used in harmful ways.
Sounds like they're playing a really important role.
They are. They do research, they develop best practices, they advocate for policies that promote ethical AI development. They're a great resource for anyone who wants to learn more and get involved.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to check them out. And for our listeners, we'll include a link to their website in the show notes.
Perfect. The more informed we all are, the better equipped we'll be to deal with this AI revolution.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about one of the most interesting parts of this whole Stargate thing.
Yeah.
The involvement of former President Trump. We touched on this earlier, but I think it deserves a deeper dive.
Yeah, I agree. Trump's involvement adds a whole new layer of complexity to this story.
It's not every day you see a former president jump headfirst into the AI world.
Right.
And it's not just his presence that's intriguing, it's his actions, like that executive order, rolling back those AI safety guidelines. What are your thoughts on that?
It's definitely a controversial move. The Biden administration put those guidelines in place to address concerns about the potential risks of AI, especially with generative AI. Those guidelines were supposed to ensure that AI systems were developed and deployed responsibly, with the right safety measures in place.
So rolling back those guidelines seems like a step backward in terms of AI safety and regulation.
A lot of experts think so. They argue that those safety guidelines were really important for preventing harm from AI, and that removing them could have some unintended consequences.
What about the other side of the argument? What are the reasons for rolling back those guidelines?
Well, the people who support the rollback, they argue that those guidelines were too burdensome and that they were stifling innovation. They believe that less regulation will lead to more investment and development in AI, which will ultimately benefit the U.S. economy.
So it's that classic debate between regulation and innovation.
Exactly.
One side wants safety and caution. The other side wants speed and progress.
And there's no easy answer. It's a complex issue.
It's like walking a tightrope. You want to encourage innovation, but you also don't want to move too fast and ignore the potential risks.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to have these conversations. We need to weigh the potential benefits and risks carefully and come up with a regulatory framework that balances innovation with safety and ethics.
Okay, so we've talked about the ethical concerns and the regulatory debate. But there's another layer to this Stargate story that we haven't really touched on yet. The geopolitical implications.
Ah, yes. The global AI race. Stargate isn't just an American initiative. It's a signal to the rest of the world that the U.S. is serious about staying ahead in AI.
Right. It's like a shot across the bow to other countries that are investing heavily in AI, like China, for example.
Exactly. China has been pouring resources into AI research and development, and they've made some serious progress. So Stargate is a way for the U.S. to counter that.
So it's not just about technological superiority. It's about economic and geopolitical power.
Right. Whoever controls AI controls the future. That's the thinking behind a lot of the investment and competition in AI. It's seen as a strategic imperative, a key to economic growth, national security, global influence.
Wow. So the stakes are even higher than I initially thought.
They are. This isn't just about building cool gadgets. It's about the balance of power in the world.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. The benefits, the risks, the funding, the power grid, the ethical implications, the regulatory debate, the geopolitical significance. My head is spinning.
I know it's a lot, but that's the AI revolution for you. Complex, fast-paced, impacting every aspect of our lives.
So where do we go from here? What should our listeners be thinking about as we move forward in this crazy AI-powered world?
Stay curious, stay informed, stay engaged. AI is not something that's happening out there. It's happening all around us. It's shaping our future.
It's not just about the technology itself. It's about the choices we make, the conversations we have, the actions we take.
Exactly. The future of AI is not predetermined. We're creating it together.
It's crazy, right? Like we started talking about data centers and investments and billions of dollars. And now we're talking about like the fate of humanity.
Yeah, it's true. AI has that effect on you. It just like expands your thinking in all these different directions.
Yeah, totally. So let's bring it back down to earth for a second. Like what can you, the listener, actually do? With all this information about Stargate, it can feel kind of overwhelming, like this huge unstoppable force.
Oh, I totally get that. But you actually have more power than you think. First, just by being informed, like you are right now. You're already ahead of the curve. Awareness is the first step to action.
Okay, so knowledge is power. But what kind of action are we talking about?
Well, it starts with those everyday choices we make. Like, pay attention to how AI is being used in the products and services you use. Are your privacy rights being respected? Are algorithms being used fairly? Don't be afraid to ask questions and demand transparency.
Right. If a company's using AI in a way that feels shady, I can always just take my business elsewhere.
Exactly. Vote with your wallet. And beyond those individual choices, engage in the bigger conversations. Talk to your friends and family about AI, about its potential benefits and risks. Contact your elected officials. Let them know your concerns about AI regulation.
You know, I never thought about that. But it's true. We can actually make our voices heard.
Absolutely. The future of AI is not set in stone. It's being shaped right now by the choices we make, the policies we support, the conversations we have.
Okay, I'm feeling a bit more empowered now. Not so helpless in the face of the AI tidal wave. But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, the Partnership on AI. Can you tell us a bit more about them and why they're important?
Sure. The Partnership on AI is this really unique organization that brings together all these different voices from the tech industry, academia, civil society. And their goal is to ensure that AI benefits humanity and avoids potential harm.
So it's not just about the tech itself, it's about the ethical and societal implications.
Exactly. They tackle those really tough questions around AI, like bias and algorithms, job displacement, the impact on privacy, even the potential for AI to be used for bad stuff.
It sounds like they're playing a really crucial role.
They are. They do research, they develop best practices, they advocate for policies that promote ethical AI development. They're a great resource for anyone who wants to learn more and get involved.
I'm definitely going to check them out. And for our listeners, we'll include a link to their website in the show notes.
Perfect. The more informed we all are, the better.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Stargate, I'm left with this sense of, cautious optimism. It's clear that AI has the potential to change the world in amazing ways, but we need to be really mindful of the risks and challenges.
I agree. The key is to approach AI with a sense of wonder, but also with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Right. Embrace the possibilities, but don't ignore the potential downsides.
And remember, the future of AI is not a foregone conclusion. It's something we're all creating together.
Well said. And hey, maybe some of our listeners today will be the ones developing the next groundbreaking AI application or shaping the policies that govern its use.
Yeah, you never know.
That's a great thought to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Stargate and the future of AI. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and we'll see you next time.